When I first started cycling, I used to be called a paper bag by my friends because with any gust of wind, I used to be dropped. So I made these 4 key changes to my cycling to skyrocket my fitness to where it is today. So in today's video, I'm going to tell you exactly what those 4 changes were and how you can use them too to skyrocket your fitness as well. So welcome back to the channel. My name is Neil, cycling coach and health consultant. If you're new to the channel, then welcome. And if you're a loyal subscriber, then thanks for watching. So the first change I made was having a structured training plan. When I first started cycling, I used to just go out on intuition and ride my bike. I'd just go out and have an adventures and explore the area around where I lived, but had no structure in terms of how many miles I should be doing, the intensity. I would just ride on a consistent basis. Whenever the weather was good, if it wasn't good, I wouldn't ride. I'd be very loose with my structure and my training plan. But it wasn't until I was training for the Ironman 2019 in Mallorca that I had a really structured training plan in place. I got myself a coach that provided me with a really easy to follow plan that got me to the start line in the best shape I've ever been in. And just by doing so, it just gave me a really good structure in terms of how many rides I needed to be doing per week, the intensity, and making sure that I was being consistent with my training rather than just cycling whenever I felt like it. This also relates to change number 2, which was more time on the bike. Initially, when I first started riding, I'd probably go out at weekends and be your classic weekend warrior. But until I started riding more throughout the week, cycling 3 to 4 hours in the week, then that really helped to skyrocket my fitness. Because I was being consistent with my training and not trying to get as much out of my body just at weekends and hoping that just by doing one hard 4-hour ride at the weekend, I'll magically get fitter. I was conditioning my body to be riding regularly and get my body used to riding regularly. So in the end, I was transforming myself to becoming a cyclist. So making sure you're having more time on the bike, not just at weekends, for me was a significant change in helping me become a fitter and more efficient cyclist. Change number 3 was focusing on more shorter rides rather than thinking I need to go out and ride long miles on the bike. So when I first started cycling, I used to want to challenge myself with big, long rides. And obviously that's a nice challenge to aim for, but because I didn't have the fitness to actually accomplish these rides in one piece, most of the time they were just torture. I would cycle so far out, say 30, 40 miles to a village near to where I lived, but then I also had to cycle 30 to 40 miles back. Going one way was fine, but coming back was hell. I used to feel that I couldn't even push the pedals. I remember my legs aching so much that I had to spin the legs and freewheel as much as possible because every time I pushed the pedals, my legs were just aching. Also was completely under fueled as well, so I didn't know how to fuel myself. I was probably just drinking water and having no electrolytes and very little carbs. So because I was trying to accomplish a big goal of doing big miles, but actually not conditioning my body to gradually improve to get to that distance, then I could have easily put myself off riding because it was so painful. So starting with shorter rides and getting more efficient with those. If you're aiming for 100 miles, start with 100k to start with, get consistent and get more comfortable so you can easily accomplish 100 kilometers feeling strong and feeling fresh. And because that is a regular routine with my cycling community, that I'm cycling 100k most weekends, that is a distance my body is very conditioned and comfortable with, but I've worked up towards that. And then anything longer, I am more prepared for because I've prepared my body during the shorter rides rather than just trying to do a big long ride first thing without any consistent training working up to it. It's like going to the gym. You're not going to go in and lift 100 kilo deadlift if you've never deadlifted any weights before in your life. You'll start off with some free weights, build up to the bar and then slowly add in about 5 to 10% on the load each time you're doing some lifting, so your body becomes stronger and more conditioned to lift that weight, and then gradually you improve. So same thing when it comes to cycling. Start off with those shorter rides, get more efficient and comfortable at fueling and pacing those rides, and then work up to those bigger rides rather than just jumping in at the deep end. And the final change I made, which I touched on in the last point, was my cycling community. When I first started riding, I would just go out on my own, sometimes with a couple friends, but it was only maybe a handful of us that would ride, and most of the time that wasn't very consistent. It was only when some people were available, when people weren't working. So most of the time it was just me going out on my own, experiencing great times on the bike, but essentially riding at the same pace, not going any faster, and really seeing no improvements. It wasn't until I joined a cycling community and joined a cycling club, one, they helped me to improve my cycling ability on the bike, getting used to riding on the wheel, but also they pushed me to limits that I'd never experienced before. When I first started riding with them, I couldn't keep the pace. I was being dropped all the time, but I was only used to a pace that I was comfortable with on my own. And there's always a limit to how far you can push yourself, especially out on the bike, doing longer miles when you're riding by yourself. You've got the wind to contend with, you've got your own pacing and energy to contend with. As you can see in professional cycling, when there's a breakaway, if there's a solo breakaway, they're going to be putting out a lot more effort than the peloton. So riding with a group and a community helps save energy, so it helps you be more efficient with your riding over the course of so many miles, but also pushes you to ride faster, to be able to maintain the wheel as well. So your pace and ability as a cyclist improves. And probably one of the key things that helped me skyrocket my fitness was joining a cycling community. So if you haven't joined a cycling community yet, that is one of the biggest things that I would suggest in terms of helping you get your fitness to the next level. And if you want to join a free cycling community, we also have the Cycling Project, where we meet every Tuesday night on Swift at 7:30 p.m. UK time. It's free to attend if you want to join and just get used to riding with a group on Swift, meet some like-minded people in the world of cycling and keep you motivated and accountable during the winter months as well. So if you are a paper bag like I was when I first started riding and getting dropped off the back, then look at applying those 4 key changes that I made to my cycling to help skyrocket your fitness in the future as well. And if you want to learn more about how you can improve your cycling ability and not get dropped while you're out on a bike, then check out this video here where I give you the tips and tools that I applied in order to stop myself getting dropped out on my weekend rides. So thanks for watching, thanks for enjoying the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.